Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cracking the HSC Code with host Matin Sherzadah. If you guys are new to the podcast, welcome. On this series, my goal is to make life easier for you guys in Year 12 by providing a wide range of tips and tricks which will allow you to excel further than the necessary requirements. At the end of the series, you guys should be able to break down questions, analyze different text types, and apply knowledge and skills with the use of literary devices. So on the last episode, we were discussing how human experiences shape the identity of an individual. You can check that video out, link is in the description. In today's episode, we'll be exploring how all texts offer a reflection on human experiences, both deeply personal and shared. This module is all about exploring the nature of what makes us human and the experiences we share. So, what is human experiences? I would say human experiences are the events and challenges humans encounter. They can be both literal and conceptual. Human experiences are important as they shape individuals. Collective experiences are the major ideas that people experience, like growth, but it differentiates and relates to personal experiences as other individuals have assigned different meanings to the experience than others. In saying this, the meaning you create from the experience shapes who you are. All texts provide a sense of shared experiences, allowing us, the reader, to connect to the story and reflect upon personal experiences. With that being said, we are going to discuss Past the Shallows by Favell Parrott and Hacksaw Ridge, directed by Mel Gibson. Hacksaw Ridge is a great movie with plenty of human experiences explored throughout. The director Mel Gibson has done a great job in exploring the theme of relationships in the film Hacksaw Ridge, with the use of visual forms and features. Family is not always as it's shown as. Both texts show how family can be paradoxical and how each individual's response to it can be varied. In Past the Shallows, the paradoxical nature of family and relationships is shown through the father-son relationship throughout the novel. The protagonist is presented with an abusive and alcoholic father who is the antithesis of a caring and loving father, according to the social norms, which causes inconsistencies within their relationships. This is evident in the following quote: "Your bloody drinker." Parrot's successful use of negative connotation portrays the father's wrongful nature towards the children and the negative impact the betrayal of his wife has left upon him. The use of the quote also indicates the fear and vulnerability of the protagonist. This is further portrayed early in this chapter when Harry wishes to use the bathroom but is afraid to cross Dad and Jeff's path. This symbolizes Harry's fear to use the bathroom due to how severe the addiction of alcohol has fell upon the father, which puts Harry under the risk of abuse. Parrott also presented an imperative statement to characterize the father's abusive nature, which portrays the paradoxical nature of their relationship. The addiction of alcohol has progressed to a point where he does not understand what it means to be a father, a man that must take care of his family and love them unconditionally, keeping them from harm. He allows the violence against his son, showing the lack of sense and carelessness. Past the Shallows reflects on the ideas that blood ties are what encompasses families. It portrays that the social norm of families being supportive and showing love isn't always the case. Families can usually be the cause of conflict, causing the suffering individuals are experiencing. The way the protagonist dealt with the issue of violence within the family is running from reality and finding and creating home away from the father. Joe moves away from the situation completely, whereas Miles and Harry are forced to rely on each other. They find solidarity in each other's company as they cope with horrific verbal and physical abuse. Thus, the theme of relationship further links with brotherhood and hardship. Similarly, in the film Hacksaw Ridge, the paradoxical nature of family and relationships is evident through the use of visual forms and features throughout. The protagonist, Desmond Doss, seems to have grown up in a mournful family and also presented with an abusive and alcoholic father, who suffers from PTSD for the events that occurred during the time he served in war. This makes the relationship between the father and son more problematic, creating an inconsistent relationship with the two. This is portrayed in the scene where he speaks out. The director has effectively used emotive language and the use of flashback in the scene to allow the responder to feel for him and represent the inconsistencies experienced between Doss and his father's relationship. In this scene, Desmond states that he could take the abuse but not want it to occur to his mother. The idea of the anomalous relationship is further emphasized in the close-up shot in the scene. It successfully represents the persona's sadness and regret through low-key lighting, which manifests a gloomy setting linking to the events occurring. The sadness is further emphasized upon by his distinct facial expressions as he looks down with his eyebrows angled downwards. The constant abuse made Desmond restless and responded by overcoming his fears. He is seen holding a firearm against his father's head in an attempt to protect his mother's life and put an end to his father's abusive words and actions. The medium shot of the firearm could also symbolize the war and the PTSD the father suffers from, which affects the relationship with his son and outlines the barriers within it. These events may have been the reasons for the abusive nature of the father. thus showing the significance of the gun and the deteriorating impact it has on the father-son relationship. The protagonist has made an effort of closing the gap and change the reality he lives within. Therefore, the nature of paradoxical families determines on the actions individuals take to overcome it. The contrasting nature of the personal experiences which are faced by the protagonist in Past the Shallow is responded to differently than those in the film Hacksaw Ridge. In Hacksaw Ridge and Past the Shallows, the protagonists undergo hardships which requires loyalty and brotherhood. The theme of hardships, loyalty, and brotherhood changes the attitudes of the protagonists. Different personal and shared experiences of hardship push individuals into making choices with a motive to change and move from their past. This leads to the link of hardship and change. Change may be good or bad dependent upon the individual. Individuals must learn about the collective experience of change and how we anticipate and react to work. In Past the Shallows, Miles seems to be constantly changing with the hardships he faces, an attempt to protect his younger brother. Since the death of his mother and Uncle Nick, and Joe moving away, Miles develops the responsibility of taking care of Harry and working in the novel. In the novel, Miles becomes a father figure for Harry. This is shown in many ways through the individual experience of Miles in the novel. When Harry is getting forced against his will to consume alcohol, Miles arrives and says, "Let him go, leave him alone." This quote from the novel suggests the loyalty Miles has towards Harry and the brotherly connection they have. The exclamation mark used in the quote outlines the emphasis put on the safety and release of Harry. This recommends a change in Miles' turn to protect Harry, being the father figure, since their rule that has lost complete sense. Furthermore, the shared experience of Joe, Miles, and Harry living without a father and mother figure that's always there for them has affected their relationships. The brothers rely on each other and find solidarity and company with each other, has allowed them to develop into more mature characters at such a young age with the responsibilities of an adult. The lack of parenting in their lives has changed them and allowed them to develop loyalty and brotherhood. Therefore, hardships can cause problems but also strengthen relationships and allow you to change into a better version of yourself. Similarly, in Hacksaw Ridge, the protagonist Desmond Doss faces many hardships which leads to change in his character. The change which undergoes Doss in his attempt to not be like his father, an abusive and alcoholic man. In the opening scenes of the movie, Doss is shown almost killing his brother, being a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, which means that the 10 Commandments are central to his faith. In the scene, the use of the religious allusion points out the 6th commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." Doss's religion holds an impact on the changes in his life. Whilst the commandment is being shown to the responser, the close-up shot of the protagonist shows the facial expression of regret on his face. The abusive father holding a belt standing behind Doss can also symbolize that he has left the characteristics of his father behind him, and he has changed into a man who his father isn't. Overall, the themes of hardship and changes overlap with the experience certain individuals face. With the analysis provided, I believe all texts do provide a reflection on human experiences. The composers have used knowledge and skills to outline manners in which experiences are reflected upon. That's it for today's episode of Cracking the HSC Code. In the next episode, we'll be learning on how to manage time during assessments to ensure quality work is produced. Make sure you tune in. Guys, don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe.